We have thousands of people who go missing every year just here in the United States, and there's no discrimination on the missing. They are young, old, black, white, male or female, even children. It's time to stop. Here at Coles is still missing, and they've not found any new clues. It's women who are pregnant, it's women who have jobs, and it's women who have not seen even fetal abductions. Have you seen me? Welcome to my channel, everyone. Thank you so much for caring.
Hey guys, I want to mention, please, make sure that you push the like button, subscribe. A lot of people are being unsubscribed lately. And as well, hit that notification bell if you would like notifications whenever you have new uploads. So today, I'm going to do it's something a little bit different than I've ever done. So I recorded myself, and it's a pretty long recording. So I'm preparing to do live next month. So I'm trying to learn how to do this. So this is a different type of editing, so I struggled a little bit. So anyways, guys, thumbs up anyways for trying. Hey guys, welcome to Chasing a Murderer. Talking news, where do I look? I'm not used to the camera thing, guys, but I'm going to do this. I promised I would. So some of the things that I want to talk about, and you'll probably catch me glancing over there, hoping to get some notes, because I'm going to go blank doing this video. I am horribly camera shy. So I'm going blank already, but that's okay. I'm going to do this. I wanted to talk about the Lori Vallow case, guys. And we know that this case has been the craziest case ever. And we've heard many cases, at least most of you who are true crime, you guys know your stuff, sometimes even giving me a lecture on what's correct. And you have done that occasionally, especially Doreen. But Doreen, I think, is the one that put me on the Lori Vallow case. And I remember taking a glance at that and thinking, my God, what am I got myself into? This is something I'm not sure. This is going to take a lot of time, a lot of research. And here we are. It's over a year. And I'm still working on it. So there's a lot involved with that. And I'm pretty disappointed on where it's going, because just recently we heard that Rob Wood, the prosecutor in this case, has decided to combine both Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell's case together, and that's because the charges are basically identical, guys. To me, a lot of people were excited about that. I wasn't certain why. Maybe there's something I'm missing, but I felt like on this case, this was bad news, because this meant that most likely there wasn't going to be a murder charge. If there were, then it was going to be applied to both of them. So when Rob Wood suggested this, it kind of, my heart started to sink just a little bit. I was very upset about that. Okay, so the next thing that bothered me on the Lori Vallow case was Melanie Boudreau. We know that Melanie Boudreau, she had a lot more to do with this case than she was admitting. And we know this because we know that Alex Cox was most likely involved with the shooting of Brandon Boudreau, the attempted shooting, at least, of Brandon Boudreau, sorry, and the attempted shooting of Tammy Daybell. This was kind of shocking to know that you had these people doing these things. What they were right in the open, yet we don't see any conspiracy charges or anything like that happening right now, and that's kind of disappointing. I keep hoping that there's going to be evidence come up later, which it can. I mean, there's cases where they've gone 18 years before they finally got justice on the case. It just depends on how determined the investigators involved with that is and what's available to them. And so witnesses are very, very important with these cases. The thing is there's tons of witnesses out there. They're just not coming out and they're not saying much. There's only one. Who is it? Melanie Gibb. And she's limiting what she's going to talk about. She's not telling the 100% that she knows. We know that. But, you know, you got to take what you can get. Obviously, she's still afraid of something, or she still believes in whatever they were teaching within that group. So that's what I feel on that one. And I believe that Melanie Gibb might come forward and tell a few more things, but she might decide to do that last minute, and you can't blame her for doing that. And with the way that, sorry guys, I go blank with these cameras. Who is it that I want to talk about? The attorney for Lori Vallow. There we go. Mark Means kind of came out on social media making statements that seem more like a threat than trying to get help. And so somebody suggested that I watch another YouTuber, Scott Welch. I hope I said that right. I can't remember. He's a defense attorney, and I actually watched the video where he covered that. And he didn't have a lot of good things to say about Lori's attorney. So this was actually kind of concerning to know what he knows about the defense part of this, and then seeing what Lori's attorney is actually doing. But that, I think it was a tweet. I have so much information in my head, guys. I can't keep up with it all. I think it was a tweet that he come out with, and it just seemed to me that that was a threat to anybody that was going to speak, because they know right now, if no one else comes out and shares any more information, that pretty much Chad and Lori, as of now, are basically getting away with murder. Those two children, JJ Vallow and Tylee Ryan, deserve so much more. I'm having to concentrate where to look, guys, and I'm having trouble. Told you I'm not good with this camera part of it. I like just doing the voice. But I'm very, very concerned about if they're going to get away with the murder, and it's murder for JJ and Tylee. The way that them kids were found on Chad Daybell's property. JJ was found, he was marked, and you could tell that they kind of took a lot of care on how they placed him underneath the earth. He was placed, he had three stones that marked where he was, that was under the dirt. Then he had some type of wood. He was taped, and I have the details on that I might do a video on. I've even sketched it out and everything for you guys. I just haven't had time to do it, of how he was found. And that was important, because I believe that the way that JJ was found and Tylee will actually, those are clues as to why they might have did what they did to the kids, and kind of give you an idea of what they might be connected to and what they're kind of following as a guideline for the motive. So, and as for Tylee, the way that she was found, my heart was broken. Oh my gosh, because I am really drawn to Tylee. And I think that's because I know how lonely Tylee Ryan was. And I think she was very confused by her mother, because her mother at times was a very good mother and she loved her mother more than anything. I can tell that by her posts and a lot of the videos that are out there where they talk to the police and that sort of thing. I feel like Tylee was, she just loved her mother and she was loyal to her mother. But in her end, her mother doesn't seem to show that loyalty back to her own daughter. So one thing that made me think that perhaps one of the motives might be for the way Tylee was disposed of, to put it in a less gruesome way, is there's a police video where the cop actually comes up and talks to Lori and Tylee Ryan right after Charles Vallow was shot by Alex Cox. And when they return, Tylee isn't hardly dressed, so it's obvious that she was not expecting whatever happened that day. I mean, her hair wasn't brushed. She was hardly dressed. She didn't have any shoes on. Lori, of course, seemed to be dressed. Her hair had curls in it, so obviously she was somewhat prepared. So I seen the cop talk to Tylee, and he asked her about her driver's license and her age, and Tylee proudly tells him that she drove to Texas, from Texas by herself, and that she's more than capable of driving. So there's times where you see Tylee, she seems very, very mature, and then there's other times where you can see that child leaking. And that's one of those moments where you could see that, you know, she was very proud of being able to drive from Texas to wherever they went, which was most likely Arizona. The cop looks at Tylee. He's trying to make her feel comfortable. And then he says, "I see here your eyes are blue." And I can't remember word for word, but he points out how blue her eyes are. And in the background, and I have the picture right here, you can check it out here, where Lori Vallow's just standing there with her arms crossed over her. And you can see it seems to me that she's given this not so happy glare at Tylee. So what I'm concerned about is, was Lori Vallow getting jealous of Tylee? Because Tylee was growing up to be quite a beautiful young lady, and as she got older, she even started to look more like her mother. And there's several pictures out there. I'll throw some up here of Tylee, where she's just a beautiful young lady. She's just going to grow up to be a beautiful woman. But I believe that Tylee was actually depressed for a period of time. As for J.J. Vallow, I think with him, Tylee Ryan didn't want to babysit J.J. all the time. She was 16, turning 17, and soon to be 18. And you know as well as I do, some kids that are independent, like Tylee, and very intelligent, they're ready to get out there, live their lives. They're ready to meet boys and get in relationships and just get to know life. And Tylee was ripped off of those opportunities, as far as I can tell. I mean, I could be wrong. But as far as I can tell what's available, Tylee Ryan was not able to spend any type of, occasionally with her friends, time developing into this teenager about to turn into a woman. In other words, having relationships with boyfriends and that sort of thing, proms, but there's none of that for her. She was the babysitter for J.J. Vallow, and she was kind of standing up to mom and saying, look, I don't want to babysit J.J. Vallow any longer. I kind of want to go and hang out with my friends. And when she did that, Lori didn't like it. And in fact, Melanie Gibb said that she was on the phone with Lori Vallow when they were kind of having that discussion between Lori and her daughter Tylee. She mentions that Tylee doesn't want to babysit any longer, and to Lori, that was defiance. That was not following the rules any longer. And to Lori, this was evil, and it was being promoted by Satan. And so she deemed Tylee a zombie. And Melanie Gibb heard this. Now, it's very unclear whether or not that come from Chad, because Chad was not on the phone with Lori and Melanie Gibb. That was just Lori, Melanie, and Tylee was in the house. So you have to wonder, was the zombie things coming from Chad? You really don't know. I mean, it just seemed that Lori was she was using that word at every opportunity that she had with her children. And that's very obvious when Melanie Gibb spoke about J.J. Vallow. She overheard, sorry, I'm saying that wrong. So Melanie Gibb talked to Lori Vallow on the phone right before Melanie Gibb comes up to visit Lori in her new townhome in Idaho. What was that? I think it was, so it was September 18th, 2019. And I might get those dates a little bit mixed up and had to take a break for a second. My eyes started watering pretty bad. I couldn't even hardly see. So they're talking on the phone, and Lori's telling her that JJ's acting like a zombie. She doesn't tell us what else goes on in that conversation. But we do know that Melanie Gibb's coming up for several reasons, some unknown. One of those reasons is they have an event for their group, the Preparing the People, and they supposedly have a podcast recording, and they plan to tour BYU, as well as Melanie Gibb's boyfriend is going to be checking out a piece of property near Chad Daybell's property. So he's looking into purchasing real estate near there. And it seems that Chad Daybell's actually pushing that. And see, Chad Daybell has been pushing not just that group, but anybody that listens to him, especially through Preparing the People, that the real estate in that area, nothing bad will ever happen. That's the spot that a Mormon wants to be, especially for the second coming of Jesus Christ. So when Melanie arrives in Idaho, she gives hints that there's other people there. And I want to think that we heard that Melanie Boudreau actually mentioned that she might have been, she was at BYU, but which weekend, what date, when was she there? So I like to think that possibly that Melanie Boudreau was visiting BYU about the same time that Melanie Gibb does, and she's actually going to BYU with Chad Daybell, Lori Vallow, and I'm not certain if David Warwick was there or not, but we know that the children weren't there. We know that it's sometime around September the 18th that Lori contacts that nanny. Lori Vallow has actually inquired a nanny to watch JJ, which also tells you where's Tylee. Where's Tylee during this time? She's not babysitting JJ. So who's watching them? Well, Melanie Gibb says that Alex Cox is watching JJ. That makes no sense to me because we know the nanny said something different. So that's always been interesting to me, that subject. So Melanie Gibb says that she sees these people at the college, Chad and Lori, and they're very affectionate with one another. And so Melanie Gibb asked him at some point, but we don't know when that is. Don't you, aren't you worried about people seeing you? And Lori says, nah, nobody really knows what, Tammy looks like. But what's interesting is Melanie Gibbs really doesn't have much that Chad Daybell says. He's kind of quiet, and she says that. Chad Daybell's kind of laid back, and Lori does all the talking. So that gives me another, kind of contradicts when Melanie Gibbs suggests that Chad Daybell, if I can spit it out, sorry guys, I get nervous with video, might have been the leader of this group. So after they get back to the townhome, at some point anyways, Lori's talking to Melanie Gibb, and she's telling him that JJ Vallow has been acting like a zombie. He's watching the TV in an odd way. I can't remember word for word. He's using vocabulary words that are, she believes, that are just that's stemming from Satan himself, and that this child is possessed, and that his soul is no longer in his body. It's been taken over, just like Charles Vallow. And we all know what that means. That means that most likely end days for that child. And at this point, Charles Vallow is gone. The only person that was there to really protect them, you had Kay Woodcock and Larry, but there's not much they can do legally. Their grandparents, they're miles away, they're in Louisiana, and they're way up in Idaho, and nobody even knows where they're at this time. There's only a handful. Melanie Boudreau, Alex Cox, that's, Melanie Gibb, just a select, probably Zalima did as well, I'm thinking. And her part in this, I haven't even finished researching. But, that's where we're told that JJ's a zombie. If you think about it, once I did this research, trying to figure out what their motive was. Okay, so let's talk about September. So September 18th. According to the nanny that Lori hires, she meets with Lori sometime in this, this area, and she is watching JJ. We know that she watches JJ a few times. We know Tylee is not watching JJ, so. And so I want to cover this. I'm gonna have to shut this down here because I'm running out of time, but I did want to cover this date with the new information that I've learned. So September 22nd, we learned that Melanie Gibb is at Lori Vallow's townhome, and JJ is there. She sees him. We also learned that there's a possibility that this date that JJ disappears might have some meaning, okay? So we learned that blood atonement is something that has been taught in the old doctrine, not something that the church is teaching now at all. But it's taught, and it's something we know that Lori and Chad, as well as Melanie even, they're searching for these lost doctrines, and they're kind of reaching even outside of their religion. And we know this through the pendulums that Chad is swinging to get answers, the teleports, and the zombies. Melanie Gibb and her boyfriend say the last time that they see JJ Vallow, it was the last night that they were there, and they supposedly were doing a podcast, which is odd because I would be curious to know if they usually did podcasts in the townhome or in their houses. But what I've noticed is a lot of their podcasts haven't been done there that I found. It doesn't mean that it hasn't happened. So I always questioned whether they were doing a podcast that night. We know that Melanie Gibb seen JJ on Alex Cox's shoulders, and he appeared to be asleep. That is the last time JJ is seen. Police and investigators actually find later that Alex Cox's phone traces to Chad Daybell's property on September 23rd. And so they're able to place, both Chad and Alex on this property the day that JJ can't be accounted for ever again. That's very curious, because that would make, the dates for the blood atonement kind of varies by the religion, because Judaism, Christianity and such, and even the Mormon religion. But it just seemed to me through my research, the 22nd was either it was very coincidental, or maybe we have found the motive. We at least found out that why Lori kept calling Alex Cox her protector, and that's because he was an angel. That was the angel Charles was talking about that would murder her, for her. So in the audio, we learned that she says, I was going to murder her third husband, Joseph Ryan. And her fourth husband, she says, an angel, I can send my angel to do it. So that's basically a confession there. But anyways, guys, maybe I'll get time to go finish what I wanted to share with you guys, because now we're kind of starting to put things together, and it's starting to make a little bit of sense. But still, Tylee I don't know what's going on with her. I really would love to know why Tylee was done the way she was. Was she, in pieces before or after? And how exactly she was found. I mean, we hear, but we haven't heard everything. We haven't got the autopsy back or anything like that. And I'm looking forward to that. And still, Tammy Daybell, we haven't heard much on Chad Daybell's first wife, how she passed away. And I think that state, they're able to, the family's able to hold back those results. It seems that way. I mean, I don't know law that much, and that'd be interesting to hear maybe an attorney actually talk on that. So, but anyways, guys, I got my husband coming. I'm excited about that, and I got a lot to get ready for. And Thanksgiving, I'm gonna try to cook a huge dinner this time, scratch pies and all. So I haven't done that in a very long time. I'm getting up there in age. My health isn't that great, and so I struggle sometimes. That I'm actually, just fighting to stay healthy. That's what I do. And my family just went through stuff too, dealing with COVID, but they're doing better, so I'm very excited about that. But guys, don't forget to check out our girls that we have on our, check out the older videos that I have of girls that are still missing, like Jasmine Robinson, Kiara Coles, Suzanne Morphew, and there's a little bit of new information on her, not much, but a little bit. And I want to say thank you guys. I love you guys so much. And I'll see you guys soon. Have a good Thanksgiving. Bye.